Hey everyone, my name is Zach REDRUP. This is the It's Not a Phase podcast, and on this episode I'm joined by Traitors frontman Tyler Shelton. We talk about the band's new album, Phobias, creating it as the conceptual successor to their 2015 EP Night Terrors, phobias that he lives with, how he got into heavy music, his other musical projects including Project Vengeance, and loads more. But just before we get started, if you do enjoy the podcast, then I would really appreciate it if you can just take a few seconds of your time to support it. First off, you can hit subscribe or follow wherever you're checking this out, and that way you also don't miss out on any future episodes. You can leave a review or a comment. You can follow the podcast on social media, and there's also a Patreon and a web store if you did want to go the extra mile. To make it super easy, I've shoved links to everything that I've just mentioned in the description of this episode, or you can head to itsnotaphase.co.uk. And now, with all of that out of the way, here's my chat with Tyler Shelton of Traitors. What's up everybody? Thank you for joining me on this episode of the It's Not a Phase podcast, where I'm joined by Tyler of Traitors. How's it going, man?
It is lovely. Thank you for having me. I'm still adjusting to the world right now, but I love that. I love it. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, I think as you get older, like it's harder to kind of get into the swing of the day as you get, you wake up and stuff. So
yeah,
I
a
feel you,
little
man.
bit. I mean, like right before we started recording and stuff too. It's just like, I was talking about how I'm not really feeling well and stuff, but it's strange though too, because if I get less sleep, I can get up faster. But if anything past 7 or 8 hours now, I am so tired all day
Right,
long. So,
right.
but thank you again for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, dude. Of course. Well, yeah, I guess. Well, obviously the big news for you guys is brand new album, Phobias, which is your first like collection of tracks in a few years now. I know you've put like a few singles out over the past few years prior, but yeah, how are you feeling about getting this like batch of songs out there into the world?
Oh, it feels good to finally actually be back on track with things and, you know, cutting loose ends and making a lot of sacrifices for the health of the band, and it feels good to be writing music, a full length especially. I mean, the fans definitely deserved one sooner, but looking forward, Traitors fans can definitely look forward to more new music. Even after this, we've already been writing.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that because you've just been sitting on this for a little while then? Is that what it is? Or
Yeah. So this release plan kept getting rolled back, and I'm just like, well, you might as well just be caught up to the next one, so I can roll this next one out a little bit sooner. Uh, yeah. I probably started writing this in November of 2023, and then we got it all wrapped up, and finished writing and recording in probably April, about 4 or 5 months after that. So we've been sitting on this thing for like, I mean, with it fully mixed and mastered, probably like 9 months.
wow. Okay, that's quite a
That's a
wait.
lot.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
shit, that's a shit ton. So
Yeah. So how do you feel about it then? Like, obviously, to everyone else, it's brand new, but to you, it's, like you say, several months old. So,
yeah, I mean, for most new Trader stuff, I'll listen to it and tire it out and see what still sticks, because there's a few songs that you love now, but then there's a few songs that you're like, oh, this isn't too bad, but it's just has more longevity to it, you know.
right,
Uh, and all the songs that we released, I feel, are the now songs, and all the songs that have that really long term like Traders vibe to it, have all been left uh on the album, for people to
right.
listen all at once. So uh there's a lot of awesome ones on there, and we didn't release every single song before the album came out, which was not like the most typical practice nowadays, but um we left like 5 or 6 extra songs on there for people, so when they get the album they can actually listen to some new stuff, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, they've got
And it
stuff
feel
to look forward to.
Yeah, it feels good, man. Like, I've been doing this for 12, 13 years now, and I'm very grateful that I have the team that I do. Kind of all come full circle on the past couple of days. Um, One of my best friends uh, was in Traitors originally. He was the original bassist, and there was a lot of weird stuff going on during that time during my youth, you know, tenure in the band. You know, when I was younger, and I was pitted against him and manipulated a little bit for him to not be in the band, and it's because he knew some things. Uh, you know, not to delve too deeply into it, but he knew things that that the other person didn't really want other people to know, you know, just about, you know, be it finances or whatever, you know,
Right.
nothing bad or anything like that. Just, you know, power struggles within the band, trying to take control, yada yada. Recently uh, and we've been best friends through all that, before that, and after that. You know, we go camping together and all that. But recently we were talking, and he's going to be working with us again. You know, whether it's, you know, on an instrument or not. You know, and it just feels good to have the people in my corner that really believe in me and have patience for this kind
Yeah.
of career choice. So um, it's just magic, man. It just feels like magic again. It feels like I'm having fun. I feel young, and that's a good feeling. Like my traders, my inner child for traders, like the 22-year-old Tyler that had no idea all of this was going to happen, would be like, this is a lot of baggage, dude. Are you, am I sure I'm going to go through all this? Like, yes, you are. And it just feels great. Like, Phobias is really a full circle moment, you know, and, you know, you got to delve into the dark parts of your brain. But, you know, at the end of the day, I feel healed, and you know, writing is still cathartic and stuff like that. But it just feels good that people can relate still.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like in this in the music industry, and especially in like in the world of like heavy music, right? It's not lucrative. Like it's not like a typically financially, sweet spot in the world. So you've got to have
Absolutely. Yeah.
like that. You've got to have like people around you that you enjoy being with, and the right people in your team, and also you've got to just enjoy it. You've got to find obviously the other things that are within there that you can't quite get out of
Yeah.
the lack of finances that are there.
Yeah, there's a big team here. So deathcore dollars, it requires a lot of work. And obviously any music at any point can blow up and
Right.
you know, can really change the ground that you lay on, that you stand on. And you know, we're still fighting. We're still fighting for it. We're still trying to get to that point, you know, and it feels if it feels good, like the who knows how long the journey will be. For some people, it's you know, they're in deathcore music for a couple years and then they transcend. And for those people, I say I applaud you, my good friend. I mean, it is what it is. If you found something that you love, don't let anybody stop you. So
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I say, you just got to enjoy the journey, and I think that's the most important part. Like, obviously, you want it to be financially stable and supportive, but if you don't enjoy it, then what's the point?
yeah, absolutely, man. Um,
Yeah.
you gotta love this, and you gotta love, you know, the shitty parts of it too. A lot of people, you know, want to rush into this, and I don't suggest that. I definitely don't suggest
No.
that. And don't you just don't rush it. Don't think that you have to play a million shows a year. Realistically, you could be an online band and not take on any tours, and suddenly your music goes viral on TikTok, and then you've got these huge bands hitting you up for opportunities. It really doesn't have to do with climbing the ladder. It just has to do with um I guess it really has to do more with like how much demand is there for your music. And I don't feel like that's created anymore by going and playing show like or you know, local shows or headliners. You know, those are for the people that are already fans of your music. And I definitely think that people can take their time and do, you know, because at first I'm like, I don't know what to expect with Traitors. I mean, when it first came out, we only
Yeah,
did one song and we played one local show, and then we were on tour within like 3 months. And we took things a little fast too, but um, not playing any local shows, that's kind of what that taught me was like, wow. I mean, what's the use, you know? Um, a lot of people say we need local bands, and I've said this probably in every single one of my interviews lately. It's like I actually what I want is for this genre to be popular for everybody.
yeah,
And when somebody is making this music, I want there to be a good response. And unless they want to be a local band, I don't need you to be a local band, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Um, it's like I'm setting a ceiling for you because I want my tour to do well. And I feel like that's kind of selfish. If you know, if my band's doing well, then we will pull. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
at the end of the day, you know, if you look at bands like Peeling Flesh right now with the massive moment that they're having, they don't need a local band to sell tickets, you know? And I think that's fucking awesome. I think that's magical. I think that's what this genre needs is, we need to get, you know, two or three locals on every single show. Otherwise, you know, we're in some trouble. We're kind of at that stage right now still. You know, we've plateaued over time a little bit and you know, we still need that support from locals and stuff like that. Um, but I always tell them like, hey, if anybody ever has any questions too, I always like to answer it and give them as much advice as I can to save them time because I'm a late bloomer. I think 13 years in this industry specifically is it's quite a long time. Um, but I'm still kicking. So
exactly, man. Yeah, like a lot of bands don't last even half as long as you guys have, and so you just got to think about that as well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. To think that, you know, we've got I think we have more songs now than System of a Down.
Okay.
And like, you know, for publicly released from the self-titled all the way uh to Mesmerize and Hypnotize. And there's something about that kind of shattered me because of how much like System was a humongous influence in my childhood. And
Yeah,
I'm just like, shit, bro, I'm still playing fucking 400 cap rooms. Like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? I've had the existential dread where I'm like, man, I love to entertain, so I just want to play to big crowds. I want to do stand up to big crowds. I want to play, you know, I'm working on some rock stuff right now too that I've been working on for the
right.
past couple of years because right now my drive, I will do whatever it takes. And, you know, within the confines of still being a good person, but I'm just here to entertain. I love crowd control and I love to make people laugh, make people excited. You know, I've been in this for 13 years now, so now my fans are bringing their kids to shows. That's
Crazy.
that's wild. Yeah, I had
Yeah,
to, you know, I made a big sacrifice, you know, not I'm not a parent because Traitors is my baby.
yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't fathom leaving the love of my life at home and just being like, all right, well, good luck. And hopefully the baby doesn't walk when I'm gone. I mentally I couldn't handle that.
yeah,
I and I love kids, man. I love kids. I know I'd be a great dad. But my little brother, he's uh he's 13 years younger than me, so um he's about to turn 20 this year. So I pretty much raised him. So I guess I say, yeah, that's my kid. You know, I changed diapers. I took him to school, you know, took him to practice, watched his games. So I guess I chalked that up to, yeah, I was that kid's dad. You know, why
yeah. You've
not?
done that. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, going back to the album, you've said in other interviews that this kind of acts as like the successor to your 2015 EP, Night Terrors. So 10 years on, what made you want to revisit, the same ideas and concepts of that EP and kind of like flesh them out and expand on them a bit more?
I just feel like that was the most creative and cult release that we had. And a lot of people associate it now with like it being a big nostalgia release, which I think is super special. I think it's when you're a band for longer than the amount that I've been a band, it's tough for people to listen to new music of yours and be like, man, I'm never gonna forget this. Like I hit a specific emotion for a specific group of people that were on the deathcore journey early, and they will always remember um those releases, because there was so much, it meant so much to them because there was just so much going on in their lives as well. And when Night Terrors came out, I was 23 years old. I have no idea how I pulled some of those cool ass lyrics out of my bag at that age, man. I really I look back and I'm just like, wow, kid, like this is talented. This is really good shit. And I've always loved Night Terrors. Um, so I actually replicated it down to the point where it was same color album, same hues. I released it when it was still cold out, um, almost exactly 10 years apart. There are callbacks to Night Terrors in there. There's, you know, a lot of references to it. So I just think that Night Terrors is just such a special thing. And I really want to revisit anger issues too,
Okay.
because I just feel like there were opportunities missed out on. We kept on making EPs because there was always so much stress. And it's like, I'm not writing another fucking 5 songs with you, dude. You're driving me nuts. So I would like to take anger issues and the hate campaign, and I would like to write a full length with that as well.
Right. Okay.
And I think that would be really cool. I think people deserve, we blew up on this music. We blew up on the really low and slow heavy stuff. And for a while there, new metal, deathcore, whatever you want to call it, was getting bigger. And now it seems like the type of music that we base this foundation on has made a major resurgence. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, let's give kids what they want, and at the same time, let's have fun, bringing back that old school vibe. And while it's for people that have been a fan of my music, I know new people will cling to it. Phobias is a very modernized version of Night Terrors, which I love. But my writing direction now is like, because I don't really have a genre for Traitors. It's very fun. I kind
Yeah.
of just weave in and out. Love being sick on the day of release. Isn't that cool? I
Perfect
had to
timing.
disclaim that for my fans. That's why I'm picking boogers out of my nose every 2 seconds. I apologize. Um, but to go back to the slow, low, stupid caveman stuff, it brings me back to a place. And I think that's super special. And
Yeah.
I think as long as I'm feeling good, that's the whole point. Because like I mean, financially, it hasn't been the easiest all the time, but there are some times where traders have given me a lot of financial freedom. So, but there, and then there were some times where it's like, shit, I hope I can, pay my rent this month. So it comes and goes. But my relationship with money is it comes and goes. I'm not afraid to spend it. I'm not afraid to. I don't know. I just I financial freedom is funny because even though I don't make a whole ton of money, I still feel free. As long as my bills are paid, as long as I'm eating food, I'm pretty content with my life.
Yeah.
And but I'll never be content with the return for traders, I guess, fan wise. I always want new people to listen. I'm just like any other musician in the world, you know. And there's a lot of stress that goes behind like the headliners and shit like that too. It's a lot of work, but I'm looking forward to it
Yeah.
regardless. I'm a little nervous, just like anybody else would be going on a headliner, especially in this strange plateaued moment of my career, where you're getting discovered by new fans, but old fans are like, oh, their old stuff was the best. Well, of course it was. I mean, that's just how it goes. We were all young when this started. The old stuff will probably always be your favorite stuff, no matter how good the new stuff is. And same goes for, like, for me, for Job for a Cowboy. I love their new stuff.
Yeah.
When I listen to their old stuff, I close my eyes and I'm a kid again, you know?
Yeah, you got
So
that nostalgia trip, don't you? Like listening to the Doom EP, like,
yeah,
yeah.
it's just it's the most valuable thing that we own. And I'm unfortunately a Bears fan too, football fan, and they sure love to get you excited about, remember when we won a Super Bowl 40 years ago? So there's a fine line there too, you know.
Yeah. Um, well, when you were writing Phobias, 'cause, there's some like dark and difficult subject matter on there. Was that difficult for you to get in that headspace of writing lyrics about that kind of stuff, or
Honestly, not anymore.
right?
Uh it's kind of get excited. I'm just like, yeah, and there's a coach that I love, and he says most people are into dreams. Well, me, I'm into nightmares. I love nightmares, baby, and I just get psyched up, dude. And I isolate myself, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm losing my shit right now, and I just get fucking pumped, dude. I love getting excited. Um, but really, for Phobias, there was a lot of, like, because I'm like, okay, we're gonna get myself back in the headspace. Night Terrors. We're gonna make it about a guy who, and I projected everything. It was all a projection. I was like, oh wait, this is just about me. But and this is what happened with Night Terrors. I seemingly tricked myself into saying I'm gonna write about a guy who is going through, blah blah blah. Well, turns out the guy's name is Tyler Shelton,
You just didn't know
and
it yet.
I'm like, oh shit, this is all about me.
Yeah,
So it is therapeutic, because whether or not you think you're writing about a character, you're writing about your known fears. Nobody
yeah,
knows what nobody knows what you've been through. And even if, like, okay, I was a sheltered guy as a kid. I obviously didn't go through as much as some other person, but my brain doesn't know that. So you got to think about it as I'm taking the worst version of everything that I know and I'm throwing it on paper. So it's, how much can you really make a character when it comes to negative issues without actually sounding like your own worst fears?
yeah,
So the writing process, it can be tolling at times, but at the end of the day, I mean, I do have to go to a specific place. When I was a kid, I just used to, when I was having like panic attacks or a mental whatever, this and that, I would just close my eyes and I let my intuition write. I would close my eyes and just go like this. And I would just write in my notepad on my iPhone, and I would open my eyes and look, and I would just keep going. I would keep going, and then I would refine it into lyrics, and then I would add it to music. So I didn't necessarily need to listen to a track at first,
right.
but now I like to listen to the music before I write. Especially stuff like Imposter, which is a new song on the Phobias track. That shit is so, man, I love that song. I love that
Right.
song so much. Like, there's so many Easter eggs in Phobias. Even on the music video for SBC, I actually released the album date without telling anybody. It's in the music video in the top right corner of the body cam.
Right. Okay.
Um, and then in numerical code, like, the value A is 1 and so on, B is 2. Phobias is spelt out. Um,
Right.
and then for imposter, so when I was a kid and you wake up at like 3 or 4 in the morning and the TV's still on, when you wake up and you're just like, what am I? And you're just like, really, when you're real young and it's dark, all you get is that blue, bright TV. We used to have this really scary commercial as kids, and it was called Lionel Coin Bank, and it was about a train that was a piggy bank, and
Okay.
and these kids would just look at the camera and they'd be like, Lionel Coin Bank, save your money, and over again. So at 3 in the morning, you wake up and you're like, the fuck is going on?
That sounds terrifying.
It was, yeah, yeah. And So we took Lionel Coinbase. So at the end of Imposter, you hear constant torment,
Right.
save me from me, save me from me. So that's actually a callback to a 90s commercial of waking up in your bed and you're looking at the TV like, what is this? This is really dissociating so I really took every element
Yeah.
of of like the fears of sleep or the fears from sleep, and I implemented it in any way I could into
Yeah.
this album. There's so many cool Easter eggs. I'd have to listen to the whole album again because I really, after I get tired of it, I will listen to it like maybe once or twice a year.
Right.
There's
Okay.
there's probably some Trader stuff that I haven't listened to in years because I need to revisit it in a special way. And I feel like I can only get to that by not listening to it. It's very strange.
Yeah. Well,
But
you mentioned Easter eggs. Isn't there like a callback to the hate campaign on No Witness? I think like you've got a lyric kind of like nods to it.
yeah, right
Yeah.
at the start. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just a whole lot of fun stuff for people who know Tyler and who know Traitors. And that's so cool. Like I know from experience, like when people call back to the old stuff, it just sends chills down your spine. And I try to captivate that because there's nothing cooler. Like when how the system guys, you know, how they wrote Soldier Side, and then at the end of Hypnotize, I believe it is, they bring that back. That
Yeah, they
shit
loop it back.
fucking,
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. Like and they brought that the callback there, and it I remember it the first time I heard it, it shook me to my core so hard. I listened to those two albums for a year straight every day on repeat, and it was one of the only CDs I'd ever bought in my life because I was a Napster kid. I mean,
Yeah.
in '97, I was already learning how to use a computer, and my family's like, "Yo, you should check out, how to pirate music." And back in the day, you could get one song and it would take like 42 minutes to download.
Yeah.
So,
Like have 2 megabyte speeds,
dude,
broadband and stuff.
honestly,
Yeah.
I think I remember my dial-up being 256 kilobytes a second.
Wow.
So it would legitimately like a kilobyte is a thousand kilobytes, I think is a megabyte. I'm not even sure. I think it's less than that, but it would take a long ass time for one song.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I've been on this earth for a little bit now. I still feel young, but
Yeah.
here we are, and I want to keep captivating the callbacks, the Easter eggs, the lyrics, because it's still new to some people. You
Yeah.
know, I think that's very special.
Yeah. Well, I love it when bands do that, like just do like little callbacks to either old songs or old albums or stuff like that. Or like you say what System did with Mesmerize and Hypnotize, so it kind of like loops back on each other if you played them back to back over and over again. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I really love that. I think it's really special.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's just something about it. I don't know when I felt that the first time, I was like, oh yeah, I need to implement this into my music too. So
Yeah. Well, which is your favorite, Mesmerize or Hypnotize, if you had to pick one?
if I had to pick one, oh man, Chavo, I hope you're not listening because honestly, Toxicity is my favorite.
Right.
Chavo's such a fucking genius. Um, he fucking crushed that shit. Let me let me look here for a second at the track list. I mean, okay, that's cheating.
See,
Oh man, that's so difficult.
Mesmerize, you've got BYOB, you've got Cigaro, you've got is violent pornography on that one, and then you got
Yeah.
Sad Statue and Lost in Hollywood.
They're both because I love Question. That song crushes so hard.
Yeah,
And then I'm gonna go with Hypnotize. I think I'm gonna go with Hypnotize. I mean, BYOB is what brought me back to System of a Down because I was listening, to Chop Suey and Sugar and all that when I was like 9. but I remember BYOB came out, and it influenced me so much. I went to Ozfest because of System of a Down. I went to their very last show, and they broke up in front of me. That was the day. I was there for the day. Uh,
Wow.
Ozfest 2006 in August. It was the last show of the Ozfest tour. And this is a very cool full circle moment. I went out to LA, and my buddy Taylor is in a band now with Shavo. And Shavo loves to talk about, you know, just these little Easter eggs that people don't know. And these little things. So I got to learn so much about that day. And I'm like, I got to tell him, I got to tell his son, like, your dad, when I was your age, oh man, oh man.
Well and up.
I'm such a big fan of these guys. Like, I really, not even I had to play it cool because honestly, like being around that aura, that energy is so special to me that I'm more of a friend than I am a fan and that's the energy I want to put off. But just to be able to learn so much about all of that and me be able to be like, yeah, I saw your dad when I was a kid at
Yeah.
Ozfest, and the reason why I went to Ozfest was for them and Avenged Sevenfold. They dropped. Disturbed was there. They were so locked in, so locked in. Disturbed was awesome, but the second stage, I didn't know any of the bands, and I need to list off some of these bands because this was my first show ever, and you're gonna laugh because here, let me make sure that I have it here.
Okay.
This was my first show. I did not know the following bands: A Life Once Lost, The Red Chord, Walls of Jericho, Strapping Young Lad, All That Remains, Full Blown Chaos, Between the Buried and Me, Bad Acid Trip, Atreyu, Unearth, Bleeding Through, and Norma Jean. Holy shit. And
That's that lineup, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Dragon Force was there. Um, and Ozzy was supposed to show face, but he did not that day. So the
Right.
main stage was System of a Down, Disturbed, Avenged dropped, Hatebreed dropped. I didn't know who they were either. Lacuna Coil and Dragon Force. So that day is burned in my brain. Strapping Young Lad with Devin Townsend was the first thing that I ever saw live, and I was 12. And that's why I'm here doing this interview. I mean, that literally is why I'm here doing this interview with you, because without that experience, I don't know because I was in such an influential part of my life.
Yeah.
And Devin Townsend said, suck a turd to a point and put it in the freezer and then stab yourself with it. That's when I knew I was in.
Yeah.
That's when I knew I was in. I'm like, this guy fucking knows what's up. A little bit of comedy, a little bit of heavy, some of the scariest shit. Man, strapping young. He still had the hair where he
Yeah.
was balding on top. Oh my God. I
He
was
had you
like,
at turd, yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna go shit and put it in the freezer. This guy
Yeah.
said so.
Yes. It's crazy how life works, isn't it? Like that moment, you would have known it obviously at the time, but that moment has influenced you to go to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, without and like my dad is a musician. He's the main reason why he's been playing guitar for probably 40 something years at this point, maybe 50 years. I He was always behind me. He was always in my corner. He was such a cool dad, and I got very blessed um with him coming out there with me. And I just feel grateful. I just like he's like, yeah, of course we'll go, and of course we'll spend $9 in 2005 on one Coca-Cola. Like, let's do it, you know, because we were always a frugal family. That costs too much. $80 for I got there was the floor, the grass, the big grass section behind you, and I remember looking behind me, and it's just a wave of human beings.
Yeah.
That day was, I believe, was almost sold out. But I was right underneath, like I got good seats. I got actual seats, and I saved my money. I bought my ticket. I sold a bunch of PS2 games, I remember, and that's how it all came to be. So here we are today.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, new album Phobias. And on the subject of that, do you have any phobias of your own?
I mean, I'm not the type of guy that would just, drive 25 miles out into the open ocean and then just jump in.
Yeah, that's a bit
But it's
wild.
Yeah, that is a bit ballsy, but um I mean, I can't say I'm like terrified of it, but I definitely don't like it. But as long
Yeah,
as I know what's around me, I just don't want to jump in and cause any problems. But the coolest thing about human phobias is there's a way to fight them. So I was scared of the open ocean, so I bought a spear gun.
seems rational.
That is rational, right? Top of the line triple band JBL. I brought a gun to their neighborhood, and that makes me feel a lot safer under there. So
Yeah,
I got that right there. Nobody wants the guy who's got a home defense weapon that is basically this a Civil War spear.
yeah,
You don't want to get shot with that thing because it needs to be surgically removed if that's the case. So not only am I safe from giant fish, but I'm also safe from human beings. The fun thing about this is after a while I was getting really comfortable in the water, and
right,
I'm like, well, I got this thing. I can just poke something if I don't if it's like, hey, go away, or you shoot it. So I'm floating in the water. I'm near a sandbar, and I'm laying there. All of a sudden, a face this long and this wide just comes out of these dark bushes, and it's just like a bad dream, and it's just
right.
like this. And it was a Goliath grouper, and those things aren't nice, but they're not like super mean to humans, but they'll suck you up. So I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I,
Get
I
out
I
of
guess
there.
I guess there's a lot of fear of the open ocean, but I made myself conquer it.
Yeah. Well, it's just because it's the unknown, isn't it? Like, I think recently there was this news report where, the anglerfish, they usually just stay
Yeah.
like in the depths, but one came up to the surface. I
Yes.
mean, it died instantly apparently, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
You see, I always thought those things were small, but not that small. But apparently people were like, "Oh, it was a baby." But I don't know if that's true. I think that actually is the size that they're supposed to be because I believe I thought I've seen one before that's like bigger than a person.
Right.
Yeah, that's fucking nightmare fuel.
Yeah. It's just because I think, isn't it, that we've explored more of our solar system than we've explored of the ocean or something like that,
Yeah.
which is wild to think.
And now they're saying, well, the reason being is because we can't get too close to the aliens that live down there. I'm like, don't fucking play with me right now, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't fucking play with me right now. They're like, why do you think we did nuclear testing in the water? I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. That's
I
that's
like
too
to keep
much.
I like to keep an open mind, though. I like to have fun. I like to share
Yeah,
conspiracies sometimes. I like to
yeah.
believe. I've had a crazy conspiracy friend who was right about a few things, but it took him being wrong a million times. But those one or two things come true, and he's like, "You see?"
Yeah,
I'm
they
like,
kind of like
"No, you're
reinforces them,
fucking
like,
crazy."
yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, if you say like a broken clock's right twice a day, isn't it? So like, you
Right,
say enough things, at least one of them's going to be right.
right, yeah. And I mean, he was right about some things, but yeah,
Yeah,
it took a lot of being crazy and a lot of people from our town being like, "What the fuck's wrong with this dude?"
yeah, yeah. Well, I think on like on phobias, so there's a phobia that is it's like a fear of long words, and the word to describe that phobia is the longest word in the dictionary, which is really ironic, but
I think that was definitely a flex
yeah,
from, Webster, Merriam, or whatever. They're just like, let's get him with some real quick.
yeah.
It's like, yeah, I forget the long words phobia name. I gotta try to say it
It's
because
it's
it's
really
pretty.
it's like hippopotamonstrous something something like that.
Yep, hippopotomonstrosiquipedaliophobia or sesquipedalophobia, quipedalophobia for short. That's not short. It's an uncommon phobia, but monstrosis quipda. Ah, fuck this. Quipdaliophobia.
Yeah. Fear of long words. That's just it's just easier to say that.
Yeah, it's easier to say that.
Yeah, yeah.
Word's long.
It is. It's a long word. Um, have you ever watched, just because it's obviously the in keeping with the band name, have you ever watched the TV show Traitors?
No, but I heard it
No.
came out recently, and I'm like, that's great. That's good.
Yeah.
Now people can type in Traitors and figure it out. It's like the
Yeah.
band or the show. Who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's the same thing.
Who knows? Maybe Traitors is on the next season. We're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Traitors
We're
on
not.
traitors. No.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I also saw you have a alter ego, should I say, of uh, Chef Shelty.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
doing an alter ego for a long time, but uh basically just added an E to the end of my name. I've had that alter ego since I was like 16, 17 years old, and
yeah.
I kind of spun it into another guy, but I don't know, I feel like I buried him after a while. I feel like,
Right.
yeah, nobody's really clinging on to this, so whatever. We'll try something new. But I do love to cook a lot.
Did you want to be a chef when you were younger or at any stage or?
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
original passion
Right.
was cooking. Then I started playing drums when I was 14. And then after that, I was kind of just like, well, I went to Ozfest and I knew what I wanted to do. I started booking shows about maybe 2 years after that. I was like 16 years old, started booking shows here and there. And then I booked a free show in my hometown at a skate park. And that show, three or 400 people showed up. And I'm like, all right, this is what I want to do with my life. Like, I want to be, the reason I'm making music in a band is because I was booking shows and then a band needed a vocalist. And they're like, hey, our vocalist just quit. And then that's how I joined the band Visionaries. And
Right.
then all the guys kind of were like, we kind of want to go to college, yada, yada, do our own thing. And then I moved down to Cape Coral, Florida, about an hour south of my hometown. And I discovered the greatest people I've ever met in my life. And that's how we're here today.
And it could have taken a different route. You could have become a chef.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I'm kind of glad that I didn't because I love food so much that I would hate to sit there and just be a line cook. If
Yeah,
if
make it your
if I
job. Yeah.
Yeah, if I made being a chef a profession, I would want to be like a private chef or maybe even a catering chef. But to have to sit there and have somebody complain about the doneness of their burger, that ain't it for me. I was a line cook one time for like 3 weeks, and I went to the owner and I'm like, I I hate this. I'm leaving.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair
Sorry.
enough. Like, I think when you make something a job, like, it can take the passion and enjoyment out of it. And yeah, it sounds like that's what kind of happened with you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people even ask me, they're like, "Do you still listen to metal?" And I'm like, I don't know. Do you work at a chocolate factory and eat other people's chocolate all the time? No,
No.
not really. I mean, there's just it's like I really enjoy metal still, and I love what's happening to it. But I'm not sitting there after a show or after I write an album and I'm like, I'm gonna go jam some Lorna Shore or
Yeah.
jam some, whatever bands it is. I like Gojira, but I feel like it's because they remind me of my youth and they remind me of I don't know, the everything about that band is perfect. So it's kind of tough. I mean, they're Grammy winning, so
Yeah.
they got the recipe down for sure.
Yeah. And they play the Olympics. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of,
W, big W.
yeah. Yeah. And just because you mentioned earlier that you were working on some non-metal music, like, can you talk a bit more about that, or is it kind of like under wraps?
I can say a little bit.
Right.
Um, I've been working on something for about I'd say the past like 2 years or more. Um, but this is going to be from all of my experiences and all the things I've learned from traders. So there's no band name out yet. Uh, we've probably got we've got one song fully mixed and mastered, and I'm actually leaving in 2 days. Yeah, I fucking feel better. I'm leaving in 2 days to go record the next one, but we're already brushing shoulders with some really cool people that really care about uh this type of music. They love it because it's such a wide demographic. So I've skipped, you know, possibly 8 to 10 years of what I put into Traitors with this rock stuff because the people that we're working for, dude, it's amazing. Um, you know, I'm with some of the people that we're working with right now, I'm probably 2 or 3 phone calls away from the president. And, not like personally, but just like the people that I know, and the people that they know, like we're getting so close right now. Um, and I feel like that's an amazing thing. It's just people want this music too, and it's just such generally popular music. And that means that there is a demand for it and we're fulfilling it. So it's rock. It's like PS2 rock and roll, like
Right.
alternative, still kind of heavy, but there's some twang in there because we're all, living in Florida type shit. But it's gonna be really special. It's gonna take time to release, uh, but I'm taking my time on it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And just while we're on like other projects you have outside of Traitors, I know obviously you helped set up Project Vengeance. What's going on with that? 'Cause it's just been a bit quiet.
yeah, it's a tough one to get all of those guys together.
Yeah.
But no matter what, if we have time for Project Vengeance, we'll write something, But I did form Project Vengeance and I did form Big Six, and there was all that debacle there. And that's just because people in metal are gatekeepers, and
Yeah.
the industry came in and they said no. I mean, it's that simple. There was a severe lack of communication um, with Joe and I from Fit. Not to get too deeply into that, but that unfortunately is, you got to talk to you when you're working with a group of incredibly talented vocalists, you should probably let your label know. You should probably let your band know, like, hey, I'm going to Sweetwater, which is quite a big company, if I
Yeah.
remember. Going to Sweetwater to record an EP with 5 other vocalists. I probably would have let my band know, and I did, but that kind of destroyed the whole thing,
Right.
and it just caused a ton of issues. So, you know, thus we birthed Project Vengeance, and it's been a tough journey for that. But we only released 2 songs. It's just these guys are so busy, bro. I think Dickie's leaving to Australia tomorrow, and then Taylor's like he's so he's got so much going on with the Chavo stuff and shit. So there's just a lot.
Yeah, you just like so many moving parts and just so many things to consider to even then get you all in the same like headspace or room or whatever it is to start putting stuff together. Yeah, I can imagine it's just a pain.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. Well, I know obviously you've got to shoot off for something else shortly, so we'll get to wrapping this up. What else is planned for you and Traitors for the rest of 2025? Obviously the album, and I think you've got a US tour as well in March and April.
Yeah, so we're on tour with Crown Magnetar and Yosemite and Black in just a few weeks here. Um, from this is coming from me personally. If you're still listening, you're probably quite a Traitors fan, which I really appreciate. Um, so you probably know the deal. I mean, I'm writing we're writing new music right now. You guys will be getting more music way more often than the unacceptable amount that you were getting it. So that I can guarantee. That's about it.
Awesome. Well, Tyler, thank you so much for taking time out to speak with me, especially when you're not feeling too great as well, feeling a bit under the weather. But
Yeah, I'll be all right.
yeah, appreciate it. And best of luck with the album launch. Any final words before I let you go?
No, man, really, just thank you so much for having me. And I think by now it's 2 p.m. Maybe Kazakhstan has access to phobias. There's a couple that are way ahead of my time. or our timeline in Eastern Standard, they're starting to get the album rolled out to them now. So, um, I'm trying to figure out like what countries are starting to listen to Phobias now because somebody said like the Netherlands maybe is getting theirs in a few hours, and it's really exciting. You know, it works all the way up over into the US, and then Florida all the way up to New York starts to get it, and then boom, boom, boom. But some
Yeah.
people, you know, all they have to do is manipulate the time on their
Yeah.
PC or whatever, and they get it. So
Yeah, just
they'll
use a
figure it out.
VPN or something, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, people's stuff came in as well. Like the pre-orders came in early, so people are already spinning it. So that's awesome too. So
Yeah.
if you're listening, keep spinning it, even if you're not. Just throw it on repeat. We only, you
Yeah.
know, us artists only get half a penny every time you stream a song. So we need like, I don't know, a couple billion
Yeah.
to make it work.
just just put it on repeat, and even if you're not listening, just put it on mute or something. Just get that money
Right.
rolling, baby. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Dude, thanks again. I'll let you go. And yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
speak soon.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate it.
Of course, dude. Take care of
All
yourself.
right. You take care, my man. Thank you.
Bye. And that's it. Thanks so much for tuning in to It's Not a Phase. If you enjoyed this episode, then don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Leave a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Follow the podcast on social media. And maybe even join the Patreon or grab some merch from the store. You can find everything that you need at itsnotaphase.co.uk. That's itsnotaphase.co.uk. Thanks again. Hopefully catch you on the next one. And remember, it's not a phase, it's a lifestyle.